Vanessa Laurent knew she was screwed the moment she walked into the interview and saw him sitting across from the CEO. Jae-won Hwang. The silver fox she'd paid $10,000 to pretend to be her husband. The man who'd held her daughter at the family meet and greet last week and played the perfect doting father figure. Except right now, he wasn't looking at her like a paid actor. He was looking at her like prey. And when the CEO introduced him as their new majority shareholder, Vanessa's stomach dropped. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part came when her phone buzzed with a text from her ex. "I see you met my father." Small world, isn't it, V? We need to talk. Now. 4 years. She'd spent 4 years running from Elijah Hwang, but she'd ended up right in his father's arms. If you love messy drama, dangerous men, and women who refuse to be victims, you better smash that subscribe button right now. Drop a fire in the comments if you already know this is about to get insane. And hit that notification bell because trust me, you don't want to miss where this goes. Let's get into it. 3 weeks earlier, Vanessa sat in her cramped Boston apartment, staring at the email that could change everything. Dear Ms. Laurent, we are pleased to invite you to the final round of interviews for the position of Chief Marketing Officer at Cornerstone Industries. As discussed, this role requires extensive background verification and a family assessment interview. Please prepare to bring your spouse and dependents to our corporate family day on November 18th. Best regards. Helen Park, VP of Human Resources. Family assessment interview. Spouse. Vanessa wanted to laugh. Or cry. Maybe both. She was a 29-year-old single mother with a 4-year-old daughter, an eviction notice sitting on her counter, and exactly $300 in her checking account until her freelance check cleared. The CMO position paid $250,000 a year plus benefits. It was her ticket out of this nightmare. Her chance to give Riley the life she deserved. And now the company she'd just applied to wanted a husband she didn't have. Mama? Riley appeared in the doorway, clutching her stuffed elephant. Can we have pizza for dinner? Vanessa's heart clenched. They'd had pizza 3 nights this week because it was cheap and Riley loved it. Her baby deserved better than this. Sure, sweetie. Go pick out a movie, okay? As Riley scampered off, Vanessa pulled up her phone and did something she'd never imagined doing. She searched, "Hire fake husband Boston." The results were surprisingly extensive. Apparently, she wasn't the only person who needed to rent a significant other. Event companions, wedding dates, family reunion arm candy, it was all there. But one agency stood out, executive arrangements. Professional companionship for corporate and personal needs. Discretion guaranteed. The website was sleek, expensive looking. Vanessa clicked through the profiles, each more polished than the last. These weren't college kids looking to make rent. These were grown men, successful, attractive, exactly the type who could pass as a high-earning husband. Then she saw him. Profile A047. No name listed, just stats and a single photo. Korean. Early 50s. 6'2". Languages, English, Korean, Mandarin. Background, international business. Rate, negotiable for extended arrangements. The photo showed a man who looked like he'd been carved from marble and wrapped in a $1,000 suit. Sharp jawline. Dark eyes that seemed to see through the camera. Silver threading through black hair in a way that made him look distinguished rather than old. He was absolutely perfect. And probably absolutely out of her price range. Vanessa clicked the inquiry button before she could talk herself out of it. 2 days later, she sat in a hotel lobby in downtown Boston, palms sweating, wondering if this was the stupidest thing she'd ever done. Then he walked in, and every thought in her head evaporated. The photo hadn't done him justice. In person, the man from profile A047 moved like a predator, smooth, controlled, commanding attention without trying. He wore another expensive suit, this one charcoal gray, and when his eyes found her across the lobby, Vanessa felt the impact like a physical touch. He approached her table with a slight smile. Ms. Laurent? His voice was deep, accented, and did inappropriate things to her nervous system. That's me. Vanessa stood, extending her hand. You can call me Vanessa. Jae-won Hwang. His handshake was firm, warm. Please, sit. They settled across from each other, and Vanessa tried not to stare. Up close, he was even more striking, the kind of masculine beauty that came with age and experience. A small scar cut through his left eyebrow. His hands, resting casually on the table, were strong and marked with faded scars across the knuckles. Not a businessman's hands. A fighter's hands. So, Jae-won said, studying her with unsettling intensity. You need a husband. Vanessa felt heat rise to her cheeks. Not a real husband. Just someone to pretend for a few corporate events. Background check might require some documentation, but the agency said you could provide that? I can provide whatever documentation you need. Something flickered in his dark eyes. Tell me about the situation. Vanessa explained, the job, the conservative company culture, the family assessment interview, her daughter Riley. She left out the part about being nearly broke, about running from her past, about the desperation that brought her here. But somehow, she suspected he knew anyway. For events, Jae-won said when she finished. The family day, a company gala, a weekend retreat, and the final interview where I'd need to be present. Plus I'd need to be available for any background verification calls. Yes. I know it's a lot. $10,000. Half up front, half when you get the job. Vanessa's stomach dropped. She had about $6,000 in her savings, money she'd been hoarding for emergencies. This would wipe her out. But if she got the job. Deal, she said before she could overthink it. Jae-won extended his hand again, and when she shook it, his thumb brushed across her knuckles in a gesture that felt far too intimate for a business arrangement. One question, Vanessa. His voice dropped lower. Why did you choose me specifically? Because you look like you could actually be successful enough to be my husband. Because you're age appropriate and won't raise questions. Because looking at you makes my pulse race in a way I haven't felt in years. You seemed professional, she said instead. And your background in international business fits the story we need to sell. Jae-won's smile suggested he knew exactly what she wasn't saying. We should have dinner. Get our story straight. Learn each other's histories. If we're going to convince a corporate background check that we're married, we need to know each other. That makes sense. Tomorrow night. I'll pick you up at 7. Bring Riley, I should meet my daughter before the family event. The way he said daughter, like he was already playing the role, sent a shiver down Vanessa's spine. Okay. Tomorrow at 7. As Jae-won stood to leave, he paused. Vanessa? This ex-boyfriend you're running from. Does he live in Boston? Vanessa's blood turned to ice. I never mentioned an ex-boyfriend. You didn't have to. Jae-won's eyes were knowing, calculating. Single mother, 4-year-old child, desperate enough to hire a stranger to play house. Someone hurt you. Someone you're hiding from. That's none of your business. It is if he's going to be a problem during our arrangement. Jae-won stepped closer, and Vanessa caught the scent of his aftershave. I protect what's mine, Vanessa. Even temporarily. So I'll ask again, will he be a problem? Something about the way he said protect made Vanessa's mouth go dry. This man wasn't just a hired actor. There was steel beneath that expensive suit. Danger in those dark eyes. He's not in Boston, she said quietly. And he doesn't know I'm here. I made sure of that. Good. Jae-won's hand came up to cup her chin, tilting her face up to meet his gaze. The gesture was possessive, intimate, entirely inappropriate. Keep it that way. I'll see you tomorrow, wife. Then he was gone, leaving Vanessa standing in the hotel lobby, heart pounding, wondering what the hell she'd just gotten herself into. Jae-won arrived at her apartment at exactly 7, driving a black Mercedes. Riley pressed her face to the window, eyes wide. Mama, is that your friend? Yes, baby. Remember I told you? Mr. Huang is going to help Mama with her new job. Vanessa had explained it to Riley in the simplest terms. Mommy needed to pretend to be married for work, and Mr. Huang was going to help. Riley, at 4, had accepted this with the easy logic of childhood and was more excited about going to a fancy restaurant. Jae-won knocked, and when Vanessa opened the door, she forgot how to breathe. He dressed down, dark jeans, a fitted sweater that showed off broad shoulders, leather jacket. He looked younger, dangerous and absolutely edible. Then he smiled at Riley, and something in Vanessa's chest cracked open. "You must be Riley," he said, crouching down to her level. "I've heard wonderful things about you." Riley, usually shy with strangers, beamed at him. "Mama says you're gonna be my pretend daddy." "That's right. Is that okay with you?" Riley considered this seriously. "Do I have to call you daddy?" "You can call me whatever makes you comfortable. Jay or Mr. Huang or even Hey you." His eyes crinkled with genuine amusement. "As long as you don't call me late for dinner." Riley giggled, and just like that, he'd won her over. Dinner was at an upscale Italian place that made Vanessa acutely aware of her Target dress and worn flats. But Jae-won made her feel like she belonged, pulling out her chair, ordering wine, engaging Riley in conversation about her favorite cartoons. "So," Vanessa said once Riley was distracted with breadsticks. "We need our story straight. How did we meet?" "Business conference 3 years ago. You were there representing a client. I was scouting American acquisitions." Jae-won sipped his wine. "We met at the hotel bar. You were brilliant, beautiful, and completely unimpressed by my money. I was intrigued. And we got married quickly. Within 6 months. When you know, you know." His eyes held hers. "You were already pregnant with Riley when we met, a brief relationship that didn't work out. I fell in love with both of you. Adopted Riley legally when she was 6 months old. The story was smooth, practiced. Almost too perfect." "What do you do for work?" Vanessa asked. "The background check will dig into that. Import-export. International logistics. I have offices in Seoul, Shanghai, and Los Angeles. Completely legitimate, fully documented." Jae-won's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. "I've made sure my public records are spotless." Public records. Implying his private records were something else entirely. Jae-won, Vanessa said carefully. "What do you really do?" "I told you. Import-export. The scars on your hands aren't from pushing papers." He laughed, a real laugh that transformed his face. Observant. "I like that." He leaned forward. "Let's say I have business interests that occasionally require hands-on negotiation. Nothing that will affect your background check. Nothing that will touch you or Riley. But I'm not entirely a white-collar businessman." "Are you a criminal?" "I'm a businessman who operates in gray areas." "There's a difference." Jae-won's expression turned serious. "But Vanessa, I need you to trust me when I say I will never put you or your daughter in danger." "That's a promise." She should walk away. Should thank him for dinner and find someone else, someone safer, cleaner. But something about Jae-won made her feel protected for the first time in years. And besides, she was out of options. "Okay," she said. "I trust you." His smile was wolfish. "Brave woman. Or foolish. I haven't decided which." The family day at Cornerstone Industries was exactly as corporate and exhausting as Vanessa expected. Executives and their families milled around a country club, playing golf and tennis, everyone performing their perfect family dynamics. Jae-won played his role flawlessly. He kept his hand on the small of Vanessa's back, pulled her close for photos, called her sweetheart and beautiful in a way that felt dangerously real. He carried Riley on his shoulders, applauded at her mini-golf attempts, and charmed every executive wife in attendance. "Your husband is gorgeous," one woman whispered to Vanessa. "And so good with your daughter. You're very lucky." Lucky. If only she knew. But watching Jae-won with Riley, patient, playful, genuinely engaged, Vanessa felt something dangerous blooming in her chest. This was supposed to be fake. A business arrangement. So why did it feel so real? You're staring, J1 murmured in her ear as Riley ran off to the bounce house. Sorry. You're just really good at this. At what? Pretending to be in love with you? His arms slipped around her waist. Who says I'm pretending? Vanessa's heart stuttered. J1. Vanessa Laurent. A booming voice interrupted. Come meet our newest board member. Helen Park, the VP of HR, was approaching with an older Korean man in an expensive suit. But it was the younger man behind them that made Vanessa's blood turn to ice. No. No, this couldn't be happening. Elijah Huang stood 20 feet away, his eyes locked on her with an expression of pure shock that quickly morphed into something dark and possessive. Vanessa, Helen said cheerfully, oblivious to the tension. This is Mr. Huang, our new majority shareholder, and his son Elijah, who's joining our business development team. The world tilted. Vanessa's vision tunneled. Huang. J1 Huang. Oh God. She turned to look at J1, and his expression confirmed her worst nightmare. He'd known. He'd known exactly who she was. Dad, Elijah said, his voice tight. I see you've met Vanessa. We're old friends. J1's smile was cold, predatory. Is that so? How interesting. Vanessa and I were just discussing old friends, weren't we, sweetheart? His hand tightened on her waist, not painful, but possessive. A clear message. Vanessa couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. This was impossible. What were the odds? Except it wasn't odds. It was planned. J1 had known exactly who she was from the beginning. Wait. Did he know? Was this whole thing a setup? If your jaw just dropped, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me if you think J1 is the villain or the hero here. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe now because this story is about to go completely off the rails. Let's get back to this mess. Vanessa made it through the rest of the family day on autopilot. Smiled. Played the perfect wife. Pretended her world wasn't collapsing. Elijah watched her the entire time, his eyes burning with questions and barely controlled rage. J1 kept her close, his touch gentle but his presence overwhelming, a clear claim. When they finally got to the car, Riley already half asleep in her car seat, Vanessa turned to J1 with fury in her eyes. You knew. Yes. From the beginning. You knew who I was. You knew about Elijah. Yes. J1 started the car, his expression unreadable. I knew. Why? Vanessa's voice cracked. Why would you do this? Was this some kind of revenge? Did Elijah send you? Elijah doesn't know I'm his father. The statement was so shocking that Vanessa's anger stuttered. What? Drive first. Talk later. Your apartment isn't safe anymore. Elijah knows where you work, which means he'll find where you live. We're going to my place. The hell we are. You're insane if you think I'm going anywhere with you after. Vanessa. J1's voice cut through her panic like a blade. I am many things. A liar, a criminal, a dangerous man. But I am not going to hurt you or Riley. Right now, you have two choices. Come with me to a secure location where we can talk, or go home to your apartment where Elijah will show up within the hour. Choose. Vanessa looked back at Riley, sleeping peacefully, her elephant clutched in her arms. 4 years. She'd spent 4 years keeping her daughter safe from Elijah. Fine, she bit out. But you're going to tell me everything. I wouldn't expect anything less. J1's place was a penthouse in the Seaport district with views of the harbor and more square footage than Vanessa's entire apartment building. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Minimalist furniture that screamed money. Art on the walls that was probably worth more than her car. He carried sleeping Riley to a guest room, laying her down with surprising gentleness before returning to where Vanessa stood in the living room, arms crossed, ready for battle. Talk, she demanded. Now. Jae-won poured himself a whiskey, offered her one. She declined. 26 years ago, he began, I had an affair with a woman named Christine Park. She was married, wealthy, American-Korean elite. I was a foot soldier in my family's organization, building my reputation. When she got pregnant, her husband David agreed to claim the child as his own. Elijah grew up believing David Park was his biological father. Does Christine know you're in Boston? Christine died 3 years ago. Cancer. Something flickered in Jae-won's eyes, grief, maybe, or regret. David died 6 months ago. Heart attack. Elijah inherited everything, including his father's business connections. Which brought him into my orbit. Vanessa's mind was racing. He doesn't know you're his father. No. And I'd prefer to keep it that way. Jae-won took a long drink. But that's not why I'm here. I'm in Boston because Elijah has been making moves into my territory. Reckless moves. Dangerous moves. He's trying to build his own empire, and he's stepping on toes he shouldn't step on. What does this have to do with me? 2 months ago, one of my people was tracking Elijah's movements. They discovered he'd been searching for someone. Obsessively. Using private investigators, hacking into databases. He was looking for a woman named Vanessa Laurent and her daughter Riley. The room spun. He's been looking for me? For 4 years, apparently. And 2 months ago, he found you. Or rather, found where you'd been. You covered your tracks well, but not well enough. Jae-won's eyes were hard. So I did what I do best. I investigated. I learned everything about you, Vanessa. Where you worked, where you lived, what job you were applying for. And I learned about Cornerstone Industries opening. You bought controlling shares in the company. I did. And then I waited. Jae-won moved closer. I knew you'd need help passing their family assessment. I made sure my profile on executive arrangements was exactly what you'd be looking for. And I waited for you to find me. Vanessa felt sick. This was all a setup. You manipulated me into hiring you so you could, what? Use me as bait? No. Jae-won grabbed her arms, forcing her to look at him. I manipulated the situation to protect you. Elijah is dangerous, Vanessa. Whatever he did to make you run, it's only gotten worse. He's unstable, violent, and obsessed. If I hadn't intervened, he would have found you eventually. And you would have been alone. So this is all about controlling your son. This is about protecting the mother of his child from a man who doesn't understand boundaries. Jae-won's voice rose, then he visibly controlled himself. Tell me what he did to you. Tell me why you ran. Vanessa pulled away, wrapping her arms around herself. We dated for 6 months. He was charming at first. Generous. Attentive. Then it got intense. He wanted to know where I was every second. Who I talked to. What I wore. When I got pregnant, he was ecstatic. Talked about marriage, about me quitting work, about the perfect family we'd be. But you didn't want that. I didn't want to be his possession. And that's what it was becoming, ownership, not love. So I left. Moved to a women's shelter, then to New York, then Connecticut, then here. Changed my name legally, made sure all Riley's documents listed father as unknown. Vanessa's voice shook. He sent letters. Showed up at my jobs. Told me I belonged to him, that Riley belonged to him. I got restraining orders, but they didn't matter. So I kept running. Jae-won's expression was murderous. He threatened you. He promised me. That's what he said, I promise you'll come back to me, V. I promise you'll understand that we belong together. I promise you'll see. Vanessa laughed bitterly. And now I've walked right into his trap. This job, this city, he's here because you brought him here. I brought him here so I could control him. There's a difference. Jae-won's hands were gentle as he turned her to face him. Vanessa, listen to me. Elijah is not going to touch you. I won't allow it. You can't protect me from your own son. Yes, I can. Because unlike Elijah, I don't make promises I can't keep. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. And I promise you this, you and Riley are under my protection now. Real protection, not a hired arrangement. Anyone who tries to hurt you will answer to me. Why? Vanessa whispered. Why do you care? Jaewon's smile was sad, almost tender. Because I looked into your eyes 3 weeks ago and saw a woman who'd been fighting alone for too long. Because you didn't flinch when you learned what I was. Because you love your daughter more than your own safety. He leaned closer. And because I know what it's like to lose someone to a man who thinks love is ownership. Christine. She stayed with David for Elijah's sake. Endured a loveless marriage, died without ever being free. I won't watch history repeat itself. Vanessa's heart was pounding. This was insane. All of it. But looking into Jaewon's eyes, she saw something she hadn't seen in years, genuine concern. Real protection. Or maybe she was just that desperate. What happens now? She asked. Now? You stay here where it's safe. You go to work, continue the interview process. And we play our roles perfectly, the happy married couple. Let Elijah see that you've moved on. That you're protected. That touching you means going through me. And when the job process is over? When our arrangement ends? Jaewon's eyes darkened. We'll renegotiate terms. Living with Jaewon was nothing like Vanessa expected. He was surprisingly domestic for a crime boss, made breakfast, helped Riley with her puzzles, gave Vanessa space when she needed it. The penthouse had enough room that they could avoid each other, but increasingly, Vanessa found she didn't want to. There was something addictive about Jaewon's presence. The way he moved through the world with absolute confidence. The way he looked at her like she was something precious. The way he was with Riley, patient, playful, protective. It would be so easy to forget this was all fake. The second event, the company gala, arrived too quickly. Vanessa wore a dress Jaewon had bought her over her protests, deep burgundy silk that hugged her curves and made her feel like someone else. Someone powerful. You look incredible, Jaewon said when she emerged from the bedroom. He was in a tuxedo, looking like every fantasy Vanessa had ever had. It's too much. It's perfect. He held out a jewelry box. One more thing. Inside was a diamond necklace that had to cost more than her car. I can't. You're my wife tonight. Wives wear jewelry. His fingers were warm against her neck as he fastened the clasp. Besides, I want every person in that room to know you're mine. I'm not actually yours. Not yet. His breath ghosted across her ear. But we both know that's changing, don't we, Vanessa? She did know. And it terrified her. The gala was at a historic hotel, full of Boston's elite and Cornerstone's executives. Vanessa played her role, the devoted wife, the proud mother talking about Riley, the perfect candidate for CMO. But she felt Elijah watching her all night. He finally cornered her when Jaewon stepped away to take a call. Elijah said, blocking her path to the bathroom. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I'm married, Elijah. I've moved on. To my father? His laugh was harsh. You expect me to believe that? You ran from me and somehow ended up married to Jaewon Hwang? That's not coincidence. David Park was your father. Jaewon is my husband. Those are the only facts that matter. Elijah grabbed her arm, his grip tight enough to bruise. Stop lying. I know you, V. I know every expression, every tell. You're not in love with him. This is some kind of arrangement, some kind of game. Let go of me. Not until you tell me the truth. Is Riley mine? Did you keep my daughter from me for 4 years? Riley has a father. And it's not you. You're lying. Elijah's voice rose, drawing attention. I have rights. If she's mine. Is there a problem here? Jaewon's voice was quiet, but it cut through the tension like a knife. He appeared beside them, his hand on Elijah's wrist. I believe my wife asked you to let go. Elijah released her, but his eyes were wild. We were together 5 years ago. The timing. The timing is none of your business. Jaewon moved between them, his body language pure threat. Vanessa is my wife. Riley is my daughter. And if you ever touch either of them again, you'll learn exactly what I'm capable of. Do we understand each other? Something in Jaewon's tone made Elijah step back. This isn't over. Yes, Jaewon said softly. It is. He guided Vanessa away, his hand gentle on her back despite the violence she'd seen in his eyes moments before. Are you all right? He asked once they were alone. He thinks Riley is his. Is she? Vanessa met his gaze. No. I was already pregnant when I met Elijah, a one-night stand I never saw again. But Elijah was in my life when Riley was born. He convinced himself she was his, that we were meant to be a family. When I told him the truth, he said it didn't matter. That he'd raise her as his own. That we belonged to him regardless. Jaewon's jaw tightened. He's delusional. He's obsessed. There's a difference. Vanessa's hands were shaking. Jaewon, I think we should end this arrangement. I'll find another job, another city. This is too dangerous. No. No. You're not running anymore, Vanessa. I won't let you. Jaewon cupped her face in his hands. And before you argue, before you tell me you don't need my protection, let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt safe? When was the last time you didn't look over your shoulder? When did you last let yourself breathe? Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. That's not fair. It's the truth. You're exhausted, sweetheart. And I'm offering you a way out. A real way, not running, but standing your ground with someone powerful enough to make Elijah back down. And when our arrangement ends? When I get the job or don't? What then? Jaewon's thumb brushed away a tear. I told you. We'll renegotiate terms. Maybe make this real. Real, Vanessa whispered. You mean? I mean I haven't stopped thinking about you since that first meeting. I mean Riley calls me Jay and trusts me to tuck her in at night. I mean this stopped being pretend for me about 2 days in. His forehead touched hers. I'm falling in love with you, Vanessa Laurent. And I think you're falling too. She was. God help her, she was. This is crazy, she said. Probably. Jaewon smiled. But I've built an empire on crazy decisions. This is just one more. Then he kissed her, not for show, not for cameras, but because he wanted to. And Vanessa kissed him back, pouring 4 years of loneliness and fear and desperate hope into the contact. When they broke apart, she whispered, okay. Okay? Okay, let's renegotiate. Let's make this real. Let's. Her phone buzzed. Then Jaewon's. Then multiple phones around the room started going off. Jaewon pulled out his phone, and his expression went deadly. What? Vanessa asked. What is it? He showed her the screen. It was a news alert, breaking, Boston business developer Elijah Huang claims kidnapping, demands return of daughter. Below was a photo of Riley, her Riley, with text claiming Vanessa had abducted her from her father 4 years ago. No, Vanessa breathed. No, no, no. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello, V. Elijah's voice was calm, almost pleasant. I tried to do this the easy way. But since you want to play games with my father, let's play for real. You have 24 hours to bring Riley to me, or I go to the police with DNA evidence proving she's mine. You can't, she's not. A technicality. I've already filed for emergency custody. I have lawyers, money. Connections. And I have proof that you've been living with a known criminal. His voice hardened. Jaewon Hwang might scare other people, but he doesn't scare me. He's my father, did you know that? Did he tell you? My mother's dirty little secret. And now you're his dirty little secret. Quite the family tree we're building. Elijah, please. 24 hours. Bring Riley to the address I'm texting you, or lose her forever. And V? If you try to run again, I'll make sure you never see her again. I have the power to do that now. Test me if you don't believe it. The line went dead. Vanessa looked at Jaewon, her world crumbling. He knows. He knows you're his father, and he's using it against us. He's going to take Riley. Jaewon's expression was carved from stone. No. He's not. You heard him. He has lawyers, evidence. And I have something better. Jaewon made a call, speaking rapid Korean. When he hung up, his eyes were cold. Elijah wants to play with power? Fine. He's about to learn the difference between having money and having real power. What are you going to do? What I should have done years ago. Jaewon's smile was terrifying. I'm going to handle my son. The next 12 hours were a blur. Jaewon made calls in 3 languages, mobilized people Vanessa didn't want to know about, and transformed from the gentleman who'd read bedtime stories to Riley into something ancient and dangerous. Pack a bag for you and Riley, he told Vanessa. Essentials only. My people are taking you somewhere safe. I'm not leaving you two. This isn't negotiable. His voice was steel. Elijah is going to come at me with everything he has. When he does, I need to know you and Riley are protected. Please, Vanessa. Trust me. So she did. Because what choice did she have? Ji-woo, a terrifying woman who apparently ran Jaewon's security, took them to a safe house outside the city. It was comfortable but isolated, with armed guards. Vanessa pretended not to notice. What's happening? She asked Ji-woo. War, Ji-woo said simply. Elijah declared it when he went public. Now the boss is finishing it. Vanessa spent the night pacing, Riley safely asleep, her phone clutched in her hand waiting for updates. When it finally rang, it was Jaewon. It's done, he said. His voice sounded tired. What's done? Is Elijah alive? Arrested. The FBI raided his office 3 hours ago on charges of embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy. They found evidence of some very illegal business dealings that David Park started and Elijah continued. You set him up. I revealed the truth. There's a difference. Jaewon paused. He'll be in prison for a long time, Vanessa. And the custody claim? His lawyers abandoned him the moment the FBI showed up. You're safe. Riley's safe. It's over. Vanessa should feel relieved. Triumphant. Instead, she felt hollow. You destroyed your own son. I stopped a dangerous man from hurting the woman I love. His voice was gentle. There's a difference, sweetheart. Elijah made his choices. I just made sure there were consequences. Does he know that you're his father? Yes. I told him myself, right before the FBI arrived. I wanted him to understand exactly who he'd challenged. Silence. He said I'd always been a ghost in his life. That he'd spent years trying to prove himself to a father who didn't want him. Maybe he was right. Jaewon. Come home, Vanessa. You and Riley. Come home. Home. He meant his penthouse. The place that had started as a temporary shelter and become something else. Okay, Vanessa whispered. We'll come home. 2 weeks later, Vanessa sat in the Cornerstone Industries boardroom, facing the interview panel for the final time. Ms. Laurent, Helen Park said with a warm smile. I'm pleased to offer you the position of Chief Marketing Officer. Your qualifications are impeccable, your family assessment was wonderful, and frankly, we're lucky to have you. Vanessa had done it. Against impossible odds, she'd won. However, Helen continued, I should mention that with the recent changes in our ownership structure, the position comes with some additional responsibilities. You'd be working closely with our new CEO. CEO? I thought Mr. Morrison. Mr. Morrison retired. Our majority shareholder has taken a more active role. Helen gestured to the door. Actually, he wanted to deliver the news himself. The door opened, and Jae-won walked in, looking every bit the powerful executive in a three-piece suit. Congratulations, Ms. Lauren, he said with a smile that was all business. I look forward to working with you. Vanessa stared at him. You're the CEO. As of last week. Seemed like a good investment opportunity. His eyes sparkled with amusement. I hope our personal relationship won't make professional collaboration difficult. Helen looked between them, delighted. Oh, this is perfect. A husband-wife executive team. The board will love it. When they were finally alone in Jae-won's new office, Vanessa rounded on him. You bought the company. I bought controlling interest, installed myself as CEO, and made sure you got the job you deserved. Yes. Jae-won loosened his tie. Problem? You can't just, this is insane. People will think I only got the position because you're brilliant? Because your campaign portfolio speaks for itself? Because 3 other companies were trying to recruit you before I stepped in? Jae-won crossed to her, pulling her close. You earned this, Vanessa. I just made sure nothing stood in your way. You're impossible. I'm in love with you. There's a difference. He kissed her forehead. So what do you say? Ready to be a power couple? Run this company together, raise Riley together, build something real? Vanessa thought about everything that had brought her here. The fear, the running, the desperate gamble of hiring a stranger. And somehow, impossibly, it had led to this: safety, love, family.